Hi and welcome to Slide Bites. This is my first video that I'm going to be posting about the channel. I am a huge lover of guitars and music in general, and I've been wanting to start this channel for a long time and kind of discuss more of the budget side of the guitar and music industry as far as a purchaser, as a customer. I've been playing for about 15 years, started on bass guitar and doing praise and worship music, and as I got older I kind of moved into metal and punk rock, and here I am now, and I'm getting into slide guitar and everything else, and I just kind of wanted to get into this and just dive full on in with my first kind of guitar review here. This is the Jackson JS32 King V in Matte Army Drab with a beautiful, all blacked out finish here. Pardon my gigantic cat, he likes to interrupt me. Anyway, shark tooth inlays. I think Jackson is one of my favorite guitar brands in general. I've long loved Jackson. I've been keeping an eye on things that they were doing for a while. I have a 7-string right here that you will see a video upcoming eventually on. And from there, we're going to move on into several other brands as well. Every guitar you see on this channel will be something I own. No one's sending me gear or loaning me gear to review. I purchase what I have, and what I have is what I am going to discuss. So going right on in, this is honestly one of Jackson's lower priced series guitars. This is probably roughly shy of $400 before tax. Most places I think I paid around $369 for this one. Not a bad price at all, especially for what you get with the guitar. You get two humbuckers that are very, in my opinion, high output for the price. I've definitely played more expensive guitars with lower output pickups, and if you're into metal, which I'm assuming if you're looking at Jackson and looking at a guitar with the Floyd Rose and the setup anyway, you probably are a metalhead like myself. I keep it in drop C, which most people seem to hate trying to set up, especially the budget license. This is a licensed Floyd Rose, by the way. Most people seem to hate trying to set these up in drop tunings, or any tuning for that matter. I've had really great luck so far with mine. I did the setup and everything myself. I've been drop tuning, and every guitar I have probably is in a, for some reason, I love tuning, different tunings. Everything I have is in a different tuning, ranging from everything from drop G on the 7-string all the way to drop D and double drop D and everything in between, really. Doesn't matter to me. I like drop tunings, and I play everything from blues to folk to metal to punk and all that. So I like the versatility of having multiple guitars and different setups. This one definitely handles it, no problem, as you heard. Drop C, no issue at all. It sounds great in my opinion. We're running it through an acoustic lead series, G120 DSP. That's the 2x12 model of the acoustic brand solid state amplifier, running with my pedal chain, which the only pedal on right now is the Behringer Ultra Metal, which is very similar to I believe it's the metal pedal from Boss, heavy metal pedal. And honestly, for the price, that's a great one. We're going to get into all that eventually. This guitar, you get your standard setup, 3-way toggle selector switch. I honestly seem to prefer the lead on this one. The rhythm is not bad, but I find, especially for a lot of the stuff I play, I've never been a big rhythm pickup on, neck pickup on. This type of guitar. Honestly, if you roll back the volume and maybe cut some of the tone back, you might be honestly, I think that sounds okay if you want to do bluesy stuff. I don't know how many people buying Jacksons for blues, but maybe you are one of those people that likes to do that. And more power to you. But for me, it just doesn't seem to cut it. When I do switch around and do anything differently, I usually run middle selection, selector, middle position on the selector, and I knock off all the gain, and I run with a Boss CE2 original Japanese chorus, which is not a budget option anymore, but when I bought it, it was a budget option. We'll talk about it eventually too. Everything has stayed very nice and tight on this guitar. The frets were perfect, and I mean perfect. There's nothing wrong with these frets whatsoever. They were very smooth, didn't need any polishing or cleaning from the get-go. The binding is very nice. Every now and then I think there's a spot that looks maybe just a little thin around the headstock. It's kind of hard to maneuver around in here with all the other guitars, but it's honestly a very well finished guitar, especially for the price. I don't know if I can show this on here very well or not, but you might be able to kind of see right there on the very end of the headstock where it got a little uneven, but that's okay. It doesn't really bother me. That's not something that I'm not a nitpicker on the guitars. I'm not going to sit here and return everything I get for a small thing, especially at this price range. I'm just happy I got one of these because these were actually really hard to get. 24 frets, and I like that, especially with this guitar and the scale length. I want that. I want the extra length on the neck. I believe this is a 25.5. I could be wrong about that, but it's plenty for drop C. You don't want to go. You got to really watch those drop tunings with your scale length and everything, and then your screen gauge. These are actually still the factory screens. I didn't even bother changing them. They sound pretty good, in my opinion. And they were pretty cleaned up, and it worked. My other Jackson, I definitely had to change the screens because they were absolute crap, but it was also quite a bit less, and I'll show that when we talk about that guitar. Floyd Rose is your standard licensed Floyd Rose with the screw-in arm. I've kind of made mine a little more stiff so it doesn't flop around all over the place. That drives me crazy when the arm is way down here, and I really just want to get to it, especially if you're trying to do some of your tremolo picking, which I don't do a whole lot of, but I like it kind of locked in this area, so I don't know if that voids your warranty or not, but it's not something I'm concerned with. Anyway, all the hardware is blacked out on this thing, and I love that look. Even the back plate is blacked out. Everything looks really good on there. Really, this is a satin finished neck, and it's not as thin as what you'd think. You can kind of see on there what we're talking about. It's not super thin, but it's also not thick. I would describe it as somewhere in between an Ibanez neck, if you are familiar with the Ibanez series, the Wizard necks. I have an Ibanez with a Wizard 2 neck, I believe, and it's somewhere in between there and the Fender standard C shape. It's smooth. The satin finish is very smooth. I love this guitar for shredding, but that said, there's really, I think if you really want something super flat, you probably are better at looking more towards Ibanez. If you're like me and you go back and forth between rhythm playing and lead playing and you're trying to find versatility, I like this little bit of a thicker neck because I find making chords a little bit easier. Sometimes I find the Ibanez, if I'm trying to play rhythm stuff or clean stuff for a while, doing traditional chord shapes, it's very uncomfortable after an hour or so of doing that with the super flat neck. It just makes my wrist bend at a funny angle that I can't really explain very well. Otherwise, this is really, again, a great guitar. Everything, I've had it for about, I want to say 3 months so far. No issues, which isn't a whole lot of time, really, in the grand scheme of things. Several of my guitars, I have pretty much every guitar I started off with, I still have from my very first Squire that I got when I was 16, and my second bass I ever got, which I got way back when too. Like I said, I started playing many years ago, over a decade and a half ago, on bass guitar. My very first bass is no longer functioning. It was pretty much dead anyway, but Hondo 2 P bass, if anyone's familiar with one of those. Anyway, so yeah, that's this guitar, the Jackson JS32. I honestly think it's hard to beat for the price. If you are a shredder and you are a metal guy, I love these guitars. You do got to get kind of used to this sitting like this, and usually like I propped up like that. You got your neck up here, and if you're sitting down. But honestly, most guys, if you're playing this thing, you're probably jumping around, shredding, and having a good time on it. I've had no problem with this thing staying in tune. I had no problem with the setup. Everything on this guitar has been flawless for me. I did raise the bridge pickup a little bit more for more volume on that end because I felt like it was a little low from the factory. That's all really easy stuff. Something you can do with a Phillips head screwdriver. I don't have any issues with any strings getting stuck on the pickup, on bends, nothing. There's really been no issues with this guitar. This is honestly one of my favorites, if not my favorite guitar that I own, of the very many. It's just a great guitar. All there is to it. If you're interested in it, check out your local retailers. Support your local businesses if you can. If not, if your local business is a Guitar Center, that's what you're gonna go to. But for me, I definitely do recommend this guitar. I think if you can get it at a good price, I got mine around $369. Watched the used market. I'm not really sure what they're going for used. I don't often buy used guitars. I will buy used pedals, amps, things like that. But the guitars I like to break in myself. I do have used guitars. Don't take that as I refuse to buy them. But that is me personally. I prefer to buy brand new guitars. Anyway, this has been Slide Bites, and I hope you enjoyed this first video. Stay tuned for more. I'm going to be popping out videos here as fast as I can, whenever I can, and enjoy. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.